Daniel is a guitarist, music producer, composer, and founder of Stock Music Licensing, a website, blog, and YouTube channel covering all things stock music. If you've ever dreamed of making a living from composing music, or perhaps just making some extra money doing what you love, then Daniel is here to help you. He genuinely really is. What comes across is Daniel's knowledge of not just the stock music industry, but his overwhelming will to help others reach their goals and achieve a lifestyle that many desire. There's never been a better time to produce music from home, and it's a great time to get involved with stock music production. And if any of that's caught your ear, then this is the guy to listen to. Daniel, welcome to Real Home Studio.
Thank you so much, Oli. Thank you so much for that introduction. It's really wonderful. Thank you for those kind words. Really
You're very welcome. So listen, where did all this all start? I mean, I presume that you started out playing guitar, starting a band?
Yes, as many musicians, you know, or as a young musician, we had dreams of becoming, I guess, rock stars, if you will. And you start with an instrument. For me, it was the guitar. Mm-hmm. And really went through that whole path of playing gigs in high school, then a transition later on into sound engineering, went to college to study that. And I was a little bit more fascinated about the whole recording process of it while I was in a band. And it slowly transitioned into more of the production side of it. And then eventually ended up working, thanks to technology, obviously, eventually became so affordable to just have a computer or have a home studio. So I'm right there in the middle, you know. I mean, I'm probably dating myself by saying this, but early 2000, I guess, is that when you first saw that possibility of owning having a computer and having software to just record at home. So that was a big turning point for me, for sure. And that's the first time I saw the possibility of, like, I actually do music from home, even if it's just for fun, you know. But just that was, you know, I didn't need to go to the studio anymore. I didn't need to go and hang out with the guys and or have a band. Even as much as I love to play in a band as a musician, I'm more fascinated about the studio environment and doing it from home. I think that's one of the biggest things, for sure.
What did you start out recording on from home? Are we talking cassette?
I had I think back then, it was the first time I came across a software. I think it was the early versions of Reason. Maybe it was Rebirth, actually. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember those, but that's really, I can't remember the year now, but it was really the first time I saw like a demo of it, and it just blew my mind. And before that, I heard about Pro Tools when I was studying sound engineering back in it was probably 96 or 97.
Yeah.
It's the very first time I heard, we were in college, and they said, like, okay, this new thing, that is the future of recording, but I didn't have access to it, really. You know, I have seen Digital Performer at that time as well, and doing some Midi compositions and stuff like that, but it's nothing like what it is today. So the first time I got hold of my own computer with some software, I think it was Cubase, maybe, or I can't remember that now, the version of Cubase. And just recording, just plugged my guitar, you know, sound card, very basic setup, nothing really earth-shattering, but it was just amazing to be able to just record like high-quality audio.
Yeah, for real. I mean, we're sort of an age. It's been a strange life to live through. I remember like doing my apprenticeship in a studio in the mid-90s, and we were still cutting tape. And I remember filming with Super 8 and cutting tape. And then, as you say, suddenly we got wind of this as the colleges, and I was studying at the same time, started to get some of this tech through. Then it was suddenly like, this is going to be the future.
Yeah, that when I was studying in college, one of the last exams was to cut through with a razor to the tape, and to put, like, just find the transient. And it's, I guess back in the day that was a skill, and it's nice. But nowadays that you can actually see the waveform and actually just press and cut or whatever, it just makes that seem so strange that back in the day they would do it like that. And that's, you know, I mean, I feel blessed that we come from that we saw the before and after. But nowadays you realize how easy it is. You just see the waveform. It's just like, oh my God, you can just see the transit, you can see this. So it's all this world of possibilities. And, so for anybody that is young now and doesn't know about these things, it's so easy. There's no real excuse to just really pursue music. In this industry, as it is, like take full control of, software is really affordable. Laptops as well, computers, they're very powerful nowadays. So it's a matter of like putting the knowledge somewhere and then see what you can come up with,
Yeah. I think that often when I see people sort of complaining these days about noise floor, and I remember what it was like recording on like a Tascam 414 or something and bouncing it. By the time you've done a couple of bounces, you just got and loads of phasing and
yes.
It's good, like you said, it's really good, I think, to have experienced that, because I think you do have, it gives you a daily, I have like a daily gratitude practice where I'm just like blown away every day at how phenomenally great all of this is. If I was a kid.
It is. It is. I mean, you can see the things as they are, but when it comes down to technology and even this conversation that we're having, it's just like, okay, a few years ago this was impossible, really, and now it has become the norm. And it's the same with anything, I do the same thing. I always say, like, I just feel blessed to be living in this day and age with technology, and I know it's going to get even better. In terms of communications, in terms of power, and for music creation, video, I mean, you name it, it's just, so I do believe that it's a fantastic time to be alive if you're a musician, for sure, regardless of what people say. There's always the negative side of it, and then, but before it was like this. I don't think you remember how difficult it was to actually get your music out there.
Yeah. Well, it's really escalated with a lot of the lockdowns and stuff. It's really escalated, not only, products like this, but I see like real-time communications are very much gonna be happening. And that opens a huge door for, if we wanted to have a jam, get together, do some songwriting, that would, it's an incredible possibility that you could form bands across the internet.
Yes, for sure.
So I agree with you. It's a really exciting time, and there's a lot of positives to be taken out of what's been an interesting couple of years. So, where do we take the leap from bands and knocking about, playing some music, to getting involved and producing music, but getting involved into stock music production?
Yeah, well, so when we moved, me and my family, we moved from the UK, and we arrived here in Greece in the midst of the Greek crisis, 2010.
Right.
Late 2010, going into 11. And really, my previous job was working in a guitar shop in central London. So I had that as a day job, and I was involved with musicians. I was working in Denmark Street, which is like a popular, famous street, and I felt like, okay, I've done my bit for my music, I guess. Somehow I've always been very fortunate to work either in a recording studio, giving guitar lessons on the side, and now working in London in retail, selling guitars. It gave me this sense of like, okay, I'm fulfilling my duties as an artist, as a musician, because hey, I have a day job somehow in a guitar shop, so I don't really have to like pursue anything else more serious, I guess. Meaning that I don't really feel the need to have a band, or I don't see the need to actually go and embark on something that is a little bit scarier as an artist, because I have a day job already, so I have some sense of security, and I'm around musicians all day long, and I'm playing the guitar every day, so. Many years passed like that, and then when we left the UK and I came to Greece, and I didn't have that excuse as a musician and say like, oh well, I'm working in a guitar shop in central London, long hair, I can get away with a lot of things, and I have a paycheck, but I didn't have like a musical project, like I didn't have like a band or something So when I arrived in Greece with all this gear, my guitars, my, the computers, everything, it was almost like, okay, what's the point of having all this if I'm not really doing anything? Back in England, I was just accumulating gear, and it was a process of building my home studio and doing a lot of recordings, but a lot of recordings that didn't have any purpose. Okay, so secretly, I felt a little bit envious of my colleagues who had bands, who had something going on. Some of them recorded even like an album. They were doing gigs. And I always felt like, okay, that's not for me, or I don't want to go there. That I don't want the gigging part. I don't want the band either, even though I tried to join different bands.
Yeah.
And I just didn't feel that my heart was in there. Then it's like, I just want to be in the lab. I just want to be here at home. So when we arrived to Greece and in our business, we had a family business that it was the main reason why we came to Greece with our first daughter. It was like, okay, we're going to escape from the UK. Not escape, but, like, okay, start from scratch.
Yeah.
In Greece, my wife being Greek. And we have, my in-laws have this business, which is a coffee shop. So we can arrive there and just work as a family business. This is very common here in Greece. A family-owned business, and everybody works in a coffee shop or a shoe shop or whatever it is. So we arrived here, and that business went down very quickly. It was a terrible mistake that we did. And all our financial income was coming from that business. That was the aim. That was pretty much the main reason why we came here, apart from a better quality of life and to be close to my wife's family. So my wife had to really get a job because she's Greek, obviously. So she went into the workforce, and I stayed behind with my first daughter. So I became the stay-at-home dad.
Yeah.
As you do, and that's it. That was like, okay, here I am, grown-up man. The first time in my life I have no income, and I'm taking care of my daughter. At that time she was like probably 2 or 3, and that's it. I'm in a foreign country, try to learn the language. I hear all this news about the Greek crisis. It was horrible those years.
Yeah.
The business has gone down. My wife is outside of the house, and we managed to like get something going on somehow for her to be the main breadwinner and me at home. But I was always looking for ways to, okay, what else can I do with my music? And I think that's the problem with a lot of musicians and artists, that unless you're faced with something that is harsh or radical, then you're not going to be able to say, like, listen, I have this skill, and how can I monetize on this?
Yeah.
For me, it took me all this horrible path but I could have done this, like what I'm doing today, selling music online, when I was back in London, okay? Because we know that libraries like Pond5 and even Audio Jungle back in 2006 or 7, I think that's when they first, So even back then, when I was living in England and I was still working in the guitar shop, if I was switched on as I was when I first got started, I could probably have started doing that back then.
Yeah.
Instead, I delayed all of this thing and then go through some kind of like midlife crisis, if you will. And it was in that particular moment while I was taking care of my daughter as a stay-at-home dad that I was just looking for ways to do something with music. And I know music licensing was a way. I just didn't have the patience to build relationships, to build, to reach out to big publishers and to wait for that big break. I just needed something now, or something that is a little bit more tangible, and that's when I came across all these libraries like Pond5, Audio Jungle.
Yeah.
And I saw what other people were doing, and I said, like, okay, so what's the process here, So what is it? It's compose the music and then upload it to my profile. So that's it. All right. So let's put that to the test. And that's how I got started. That was in 2013, I think, going into 14. It was a period of research, and then, like, okay, I need to open an account. I opened an account, and then a month later, I'm still not uploading anything. So it was all this insecurity, doubts, and stuff that we go as artists, that we carry, So that's how I got started. I knew music licensing for a long time. That it is a thing. I even did a course, an online course, uh, in London before we left, like in 2009, which is called Music for Media, I believe, and it's from the guys from ThinkSpace with Michael Moore, I think is his name.
Yeah, yeah.
My memory serves me well, and he has a very popular YouTube channel now. And I did that course back then because I knew that I was interested in composing for media. And that was a course that it was quite helpful. Back then they will send it through the mail. It wasn't very cheap actually. But it was all sent through the mail, a massive book, and they will give you like briefs on how to compose for images. And we'll have like DVDs and CDs and stuff. And that's the first time I composed something to an image. And I will submit my music, and the reviewer, the teacher will review the music and give me like proper feedback. And I was like, okay, I kind of like get it. But that was not stock music. That was more like composing to a brief, which I don't like either. I like the freedom of stock music to just be free.
Yeah.
Don't tell me to change anything. It's just take it or leave it kind of thing. So yeah, it's just, I think, it's knowing that there's something there, but we just don't have the guts to just, or we're not brave enough to just jump in 100%, until you're forced to think and say, well, I need to really, do something here. What are my skills, So that's how I got started.
And you're right there. Just, as musicians and artists, I think we're all such sensitive souls that it's funny, like, and so much of what you were saying rings true, that you can be something very similar to the left or right, but it just doesn't connect with you, like having to compose maybe for a film or for TV and do bespoke work. It might quickly just turn out to be not the thing which makes you feel free, but actually being more in control of artistically where you can go, but still knowing you want to be within a style, say like corporate music, but feel like you have the freedom to work within that, can be like that moment. I think a lot of musicians, like you say, and artists spend a lot of life trying to find that, and often it can be sort of maturity and confidence that can affect that as well.
Yeah, I think that is you need to be specific on what you want, And for me, when I came across libraries like Pond 5 and Audio Jungle, and I heard the music, I said like, well, okay, this is stock music, but it sounds quite. Some of the tracks, they sound really professional. I even came across back in the day, there was one of them. There was a Canadian singer-songwriter, and he was doing fantastic on Audio Jungle, and he was singing songs, and amazing. And this is done at home.
Yeah.
I don't think he's very active anymore on Audio Jungle, but it was really unique. And then that was an example. Even though I'm not a singer-songwriter, I can see what he was doing. So I tried to model that and say like, okay, he's a singer-songwriter. He tries to present himself as an artist. He has like albums or whatever, but he's selling his music on Audio Jungle, and from what I've seen, he's earning quite a lot. So I said, okay, so if he can do that, then I can do that same thing in my own style. Like I'm a guitarist, so I can compose I don't know, folk, acoustic guitar, work. I try to bring to the table whatever I can in order to shine into in the marketplace. Yeah. And really do that thing. I didn't know much about corporate music, and I learned as I go along. But the funny thing, before stock music, I was very unfocused as a composer and as a musician. It was just like, okay, I'm sitting down, practicing my guitar, my instrument. I maybe compose something, but there's nothing else that I can do with it, I don't have somewhere to put it. I have like a SoundCloud account with like some project that it was going nowhere. And I was just working with other artists as well. Here in Greece, like I had a bigger flat where I used to live, and I can just bring a guitar students that I had 2 of them. And I had a singer-songwriter as well that she will just sing, and I will do the whole production. And even that is not fulfilling enough. It's like, well, I'm getting some money, but it's not something that I can scale. It's not something that is my dream. I want to be left to my own devices. So I think it's very important for musicians to be very specific and say, what do you want to do? So for me, it was music licensing, but that's not even enough, because everything that I was finding online, it was like, oh, you have to have the 5-year plan. Build relationship. Go and follow this music supervisor on Twitter.
Yeah.
Don't harass them with your emails and sending them demos. I'm like, well, I'm not in that position, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I can probably do that now because I have something going on with stock music and I have more freedom to say, hey, what's up?
Yeah.
I'm doing this. I follow you on whatever, Grey's Anatomy. I see that you are the music supervisor for that. Let me just reach out. This is my music. This is what I can do. I can probably write something exclusive for you. And I can take down that road and, all right, but, but with stock music, it's a little bit more immediate.
Yeah. I think that's a really good point. And something which I got so excited about, that I'd worked for such a long time in the industry, but just like you're saying, I think musicians get rightly tired of doing things well, and maybe you might see some money at some point down the line, whereas you want something a bit more immediate, not like, okay, we're going to get the money tomorrow or first thing, but something to see where you can put something online in a shop and you could get a sale tomorrow. Because it's a lot to ask to always be year after year constantly sort of chasing that carrot, if you like, in the music industry, like so much is for artists. It's how the industry's always been geared. So I sort of find it, and as I'm sure you did, sort of quite an epiphany of freedom, really.
Yes, I mean, to be honest, it's one of those things that I said, it gave me enough control, and I know that we as artists we are driven by a lot of things, and we have big egos as well. And when you're in a band, that's a different kind of like, how can I say it? Like if we're going to talk about strictly business, which a lot of musicians don't think about their music as a business, and they should, especially nowadays when you are everything. You're the musician, you're the composer, you're the marketeer, you're everything. So, but when you're in a band, then you have to negotiate so much, about, okay, how much freedom do we give to this person to write the songs, or where are we going to rehearse? Then if you like the nightlife and you like to go and do gigs, okay, so how much is the fee? How much are we going to get paid? How do we split that? Okay, we've done an album. How much money are we investing on this? What's the revenue that is going to come back to us? And I think that's an important aspect of any art, because there needs to be an exchange of money at some point. When we were younger, we just want to be in a rock band. And we just want to be on stage and have fun. And that's good because we're tapping into that. But eventually we need to sit down and say, like, well, is this a hobby or do I want to be a professional? And I still remember asking somebody when I was much younger. I heard somebody very much older than me, obviously, back then. I said, I turned professional as a musician when I was in my 20s or something. And I remember asking, what does it mean to be a professional musician? I mean, I didn't understand the concept. My mate said, like, well, a professional musician is when all of your income comes from doing music, either gigging or selling albums or merch. That's what it means. So I think there's a part of education when it comes down to artists in general, but musicians especially, that we need to think of our music as art. And you can do it as a hobby. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me to be so unfocused that I didn't see where this music was going to live, like, okay, I have the gear, I have all this, it's an investment of money, So if you're not making any money, like I was back in, 2011 or 2012, and I'm a stay-at-home dad, it almost comes to a point like, well, I have this Les Paul that is like $2,000. I might as well sell it to just buy food. I mean, because you don't know how bad things can get until they get really bad. And then you think like, whoa, okay, so maybe it's not a good idea to have 11 guitars, because if I'm calling myself a musician and I'm writing some music that is not going anywhere and it's very sporadically, it's very unfocused. As an artist, I feel that I am the wasted potential. And that's really bad place to be. So for me, when I found stock music, it gave me finally something to focus on. Not the money, like, okay, I can sell it, but just, okay, there's a process. I open an account, I compose music within these limitations, that it has to be commercial. let's give it a go, and go through that process, building my catalog. And the funny thing is that as soon as I went down that path of stock music and be really focused on that, I gave up everything else. I stopped giving guitar lessons, working on side projects. I called everybody up and said, like, I'm not available. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, but I'm just going to be doing this now.
Yeah.
And good luck to me. And that's what I did. And I started my journey of discovery of like, okay, how can I get into the marketplace and leave my ego at the door, whatever, because the music is not about me. It's about me serving somebody else. And my name doesn't even have to be that much involved in it. It's not like, oh, I want recognition or anything. It's just like the music will do its work in a marketplace. And that gave me an immense amount of focus, which I didn't know I had, really.
Yeah. I think, I think as well, what can be celebrated a lot of the time in this industry is sort of the misconception that to songwrite or to indeed like write a book or to paint, you need to be there going through some sort of turmoil in your life. You need to have a glass of red wine next to you and a cigarette, and that's the kind of fantasy where anyone, and we've all to some extent sort of probably subscribed to that when we were younger, but anyone that I've ever met that's ever got anywhere just knows that it just comes down to focus and hard work, really, and you knowing your direction. So you obviously clearly saw that potential in stock music and went for it.
Yes, and not only that, the funny thing is that when I started doing stock music, and I treated it as a day job, by the way, because I didn't have anywhere else to go. And as soon as my daughter started going to kindergarten, and I still remember that day, I just dropped her. My wife went to her day job, and I went back home to an empty house.
Right. Yeah.
I felt like, oh, this is what moms feel when their kids go to school, and you just come home and what are you going to do now, And I'm saying like, okay, this is my chance, man. Like now I can finally have a schedule and say from Monday to Friday, my wife goes to work, my daughter is at kindergarten up all the way up to 3:30 in the afternoon. And I have all these hours to just literally, this is a job. And I started doing this mind thing. At that time, I was studying a lot about business and self-improvement and how to earn money and how to, become better at that. And that's completely separate from the music and the arts. And it was a little bit frustrating because all of these business books and all of this self-growth or self-development stuff, that what they're talking about is all psychological things. Like get your stuff first up in your head right.
Yeah.
Get rid of negativity, get rid of, toxic people, toxic relationships, and all of this.
Yeah.
So that was a process of me learning about that and say, okay, so my music now has become my day job. And I actually, back then, I would start talking to my wife about it. And I wouldn't say I'm going to go and do some music or play the guitar. I'm actually going to go and do some work.
Yeah.
So I put, I think the word work has a lot of negative associations with it, but actually work is something that it should be something good. Actually, we need to work. And if you're fortunate enough to have a career or a vocation, I think that's the best place. From there, everything started to happen for me, and it was like the person that I became of having that discipline. A lot of people ask me like, "Oh, how do you write?" And well, I don't wait for inspiration, like you said about the red wine or having a cigar or waiting for inspiration to kick in or to go through some kind of like hardship in order to write a track. So it was like me sitting down by my desk every morning at the same time and having a routine, a plan, and then execute that. And that became my routine up until this day. It is like that. And I just get up, do my thing, and show up and treat it like it's a day job, like it is work, and it's work that is important to me. From there, and because of that, funny enough, creativity has exploded. And then everything has started to happen. And I said, like, okay, so I'm not just a guitarist. I'm not just a stock composer. I'm not just a stay-at-home dad. Now I'm doing this, and then all of these ideas about music started to happen because of that discipline and that focus. So my YouTube channel has been a product of that.
Yeah.
Just because I decided to sell music online at some point. And that just, different things happen. And it's been a fantastic journey because of just sitting down and focusing on one thing, which is just fun enough, just compose a stock track and upload it. And hopefully my YouTube channel as well, people can see that it's more than just about, hey, you mix a track like this or compose it like that and you just upload it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, let's just rewind just for a second. Just going back to, you touched on the positivity, and I think me particularly, I had quite a big misconception about kind of positive mental attitude when I was kind of younger, and indeed went then through my own sort of hardship and panicky, desperate times, which I think we all going to do at least once in our life. And when I came out the other side of that, and I'd done a lot of reading myself, a lot of reading about things like The Secret and stuff. Just learning how to apply positivity, and indeed, like you, it changed my life. Lots of things had to change, but recognizing it and applying it to how I operated as an individual, as you said, just made things start to pop and explode, and success came to me. I do a lot of things now with speaking out loud and saying positivity, and at the start of it, I kind of thought, is this going to be nuts? Well, I've got nothing to lose. Let's just do it. And I see that a lot on the stuff which you talk about as well on your YouTube channel. You're really practicing a lot of just positive, applying the positive, I'm trying to think the right thing, applying that right positive attitude to your workplace and who you are.
Mindset.
Yeah, your mindset, and also that positivity by helping others. Is that obviously a really important part of what you do now, because that comes across very much on your YouTube, and you're very transparent about what you earn, how you're feeling, and what your experience is. And there's not many channels which I've seen which practice that level of transparency and honesty. Was that a conscious choice for you to go down that road to really help others once you knew you come out of this difficult time and found your hallelujah moment to share that, help others?
I wish that was the plan, but it wasn't the plan at all. So when I first started my YouTube channel, the original idea was to share my music that I was doing, so I can probably promote that music on YouTube. And maybe get some clients and say like, hey, if you like this music track, click the link below, and then you can probably buy it from Audio Jungle, and I can make a sale, and that's that. Yeah. It wasn't me selling it like this. It was just me. I will do a curated video. I will put the track, and then at the end I will put like, okay, click the link below, like in the credits kind of thing. It wasn't me like like talking into a camera and selling it. But I was always fascinated with home video as well, and the vlogs, and there's something about video that really fascinates me. And what I started doing with my YouTube channel was that I promoted one of my videos, and then I will do like a vlog. I did like a very quick vlog, like, hey, this is me in my studio. I've been dreaming about, vlogging or whatever. Yeah. And I heard this term back then, broadcast yourself. Like in terms of like, okay, just record what you're doing and just document what you're doing and put it out there. And I said like, okay, maybe I can do this. And I did a quick vlog, and that went well. I did a second video about Audio Jungle, about making a living back then, that I was earning all my money with just Audio Jungle. And the video is, it's just me talking to the camera. It's in black and white. It's probably the one that has the most views, I guess, because of first of all, because it's very old, and at the same time, I think the title. But the video is out of focus. The sound is horrible. I think the message is not that bad, and it was my early days of talking to a camera. But I didn't have any plans whatsoever with that at that point. Right. Nothing. It was just me putting something out there, and I guess just share it. I guess it was that. And then slowly my YouTube channel became more about the vlogs and about like, hey, Daniel, how do you upload this to Audio Jungle? And I said like, okay, you do it like this, but always like giving like behind the scenes, like those vlogs Kind of like, okay, I can teach something, but at the same time, I know people are curious about stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that slowly started to build momentum, and I'm like, okay, this needs to change. This YouTube channel now, I get into some subscribers, and people are asking me questions about certain things. I don't want this YouTube channel to just be a tutorial, though, like just a screen share of something.
Yeah.
Because I like I like the vlogs. This is what I want to share. Like, okay, this is my studio. This is what I'm working on, and pretty much just rebranded the channel after a while, and tried to look for like a name, because before that it was like my username that I have on stock libraries.
Yeah.
And I tried to come up with an idea, and I said, okay, stock music licensing seems generic, but at the same time, it is what it is. I just created a logo, whatever, and created like a tagline, like stock music, inspirational, and lifestyle. And I think, okay, I can live by those things. So when somebody comes to the channel, see like, oh, okay, it's stock music, it's inspiration, and it's lifestyle. And I did this in the open. You know, some of the viewers that I had back then, they're like, oh, it's a terrible idea that you changed the name of the channel. Others say like, oh, it's great, you know. I had a viewer actually message me and say like, well, you should go and grab the .com because it's available. And I'm like, what? I need a website now? So with my wife, I said like, this guy is telling me that there's a .com. Should we create a website? And like, yeah, you should. You know, why not? So everything started to unfold, and it was started to focus even more and more and more and more. And then I didn't know that I can talk to the camera either. Back then it was really bad, but slowly it got better. Hopefully it's getting better to communicate and try to focus that energy there. Okay? I didn't know that I can talk or I can communicate, you know, and I'm dyslexic.
Right.
And all of these things, and I can barely, you know, all of these things that I didn't know as well that I had like as a skill. I said, okay, so I'm doing the music. I can do some vlogs. I can teach and communicate with some people. What else can I do? Well, if I really practice on this as well, then maybe this could be something that is important, not only for myself, but for others. And yes, helping others has been a real a journey, really satisfied, really blessed for that. But it wasn't the plan. It's not like I sat down one day and said like, I'm going to create a YouTube channel and I'm going to help people and change people's lives through this avenue of music licensing, stock libraries, and find my voice there. That's like my micro niche. But then there's more than just that. You know, I want to present myself as a guy who's a normal guy, live over there in Greece with kids, and you know, I have a studio like you know.
What you kind of started, which, you know, is a good thing for people watching this, is you started by doing something. You got started, you started YouTube and you were acting upon something. And sometimes it's not always, I've got this idea A to B and it's worked and it's done great. Sometimes it has to change and be quite fluid. But at some point there, you reacted to the marketplace. You were like, I'm getting a lot of response of people going, how do I do this thing? And you were open to change. And that's, if you can be open and follow the stream, as it were, you find that's what stock music really is, isn't it? It's working for the marketplace and being comfortable with that.
Yes, it's coming from a place of service. So I try to think that with the music and with the YouTube channel and with everything else that I do as well. So if we can come from a place of service, then everything else kind of like unfolds on its own. But yeah, it wasn't, but like I said, it's not a plan like that, so calculated that this is what I'm going to be doing. But it did give me a place to put my ideas down, because I do, I do spend a lot of time at home before the pandemic, by the way. And meaning that I work from home. So I'm always in the house, but at some point it comes the point like, okay, I need to go out, you know, and spend some time with the family, be human. So I'm not always doing music or in front of the computer. Yeah. But I do spend a lot of time at home. And yes, I like to talk as well. I'm very passionate about my topic of music. Yeah. I'm equally passionate as well about, the mindset and everything that you mentioned about positive thinking and all of this. And what you mentioned about the book as well, of the secret and all of this. and obviously that's like the mainstream version of what really law of attraction or law of vibration is really. Once I started discovering that this is actually much older and there's other big players in that space and business people, then that's when my perception of the world changed. And it's like, okay, so it's not if somebody else's fault, it's my fault. I have this big list of things of why they're not working. I live in the wrong country. I'm too old. My music is not good enough. The marketplace is saturated. The economy here in Greece is crap. It's crap everywhere anyways, but here it's particularly worse. So look at all of these things. I have a massive list of things that they're not working and reasons why it will not work. Okay, but the only person that is not in that list is me. So once you take ownership and say, okay, hold on a second, what can I do to change this? And how can I channel that as well? And really take everything that I've learned or everything that I'm learning as I go along as well, put that into practice and say like, hey, I learned this new thing. Let me just do a YouTube video about it. Either as a new genre or a new way of thinking or seeing something. So like, listen, things happen. This is crap. I'm not happy with it either, but this is what I'm going to be doing, you know? And the YouTube channel as well gave me a place to do this, which is what my wife calls my monologue, you know, and my verbal diarrhea. She said, like, if you can only focus that somewhere positive, you can probably give it good use. Because sometimes my wife is like, okay, are you done talking about it? Like, you know, I switched off half an hour ago. So I said like, oh, okay, so maybe the YouTube could be there as well, another place to focus and say, all right, let's do a 5-minute video about this. And hopefully that message comes across. I have the same thing now. There's a lot less in the evenings, me sort of going, and if I run that mic through that, why don't I try that compressor and I could do that. Maybe we'll look at that. There's a lot less of that now because I get it out during the day. So I think, you know, for the wife's sanity, it's a good thing. And also, you know, talking about the law of attraction here, I also think as fathers, that's got to be one of the biggest things that I've learned and continue to learn about in my life. That's just changed my life. I can't tell you. It's just black and white, and it's the more I get to see and recognize it working, the more it freaks me out. I'm like, wow, this is so powerful. So, you know, I also think it's anyone watching this point really strongly recommend learning more about the law of attraction. It's a great gift to pass on to children to prosper in their lives. I mean, it really is life-changing. It is. I came across this as I was doing some work with this Greek songwriter. She sings really well, and I will do her songs. I will be producing the songs, and those were in my dark days. And she said like, oh, you sound so inspired about music and all of this. You should go and check out this book. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. It kind of rings the bell. And one day I'm scrolling online and I see the movie. I think that's the movie that she's. I didn't know there was a movie. I don't know about the book. I didn't read the book at that point or anything. And I'm just like checking out the movie, and I just fire it up. It says it's kind of like a documentary, and with interviewing other people in the industry, which I didn't knew about really. I mean, I knew probably one or two, but I never knew about the whole concept. And it was just again a mistake as well. And then I started finding out about different books. Okay, but going back to the old guys like Napoleon Hill and Earl Nightingale as well, and all of the guys who are still alive, like Bob Proctor, Brian Tracy, all of those books. And the more I read those books and consumed their knowledge on, first of all, how to build a business, because all of these books are about like, hey, I mean, Napoleon's book, Think and Grow Rich, is like, okay, this is about making money. But when you start reading the book, it's like, well, hold on a second, this is like a class on psychology, really. And getting your stuff together in your brain. And the same goes with all of the other knowledge. And like, okay, first of all, this is what needs to happen in order for you to So that was really fascinating for me, and I could apply that at that moment in my life. And it is still to this day a very important aspect of my life. On my YouTube channel, with the music side of it, I try to touch on those.
Yeah.
A little bit. I don't want to go too upfront because I know some musicians and some composers are going to be like, well, whatever, I don't want to read a book that says the science of getting rich, from some guy from the 1920s or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's really spiritual at the same time. And there is something to be said about spirituality and art. And at the same time, commerce. And I think that the subject of money and earning money as an artist, it has been a major thing for a lot of artists to sit down and say, like, I want to earn money with my art.
Yeah.
And how can I do that? And really get down to think, okay, I'm a business, okay? And I am a musician, I'm an artist, but I as well, I am able to monetize on this. How can I do that? And you see so much conversations online about artists and composers, and, the market is oversaturated, that there's not enough money, that you don't make any money with streaming platforms, which I'm not involved just yet. But you can see things as they are, and that's exactly what you're going to get. For me to learn all of the other things, which is just bypass negativity, writing my goals. Yeah. Okay? Like, okay, what do you want to earn per month? Most of the time you ask this to a normal person, they don't know. They just want to get by. So write down your goals on a day-to-day basis and say, I want to earn this amount of money online. I want to live there. I want to buy a car. So I think I've shared one of my videos. I had like a little black book, actually, where I write my goals. If you can see it. But anyways, it's just a little black book. And you just write your goals there, and you just write, hey, I earn X amount of money per month online. I now live in this place, with my family. I now have a car, because back then we didn't have a car. Okay? So all of those things are written down on paper. Okay? And I said, okay, if this is going to work, then I have to put this somewhere, go to work, do my thing, and put my intentions out there in the sense of I want to follow certain things that successful people are doing. And I am not doing it. So if I need to write my goals, I'm going to write my goals and be very specific. And a few years later, now we have not only a second daughter, but we bought our car. We managed to move to the place where we are living today, currently. Okay, this was an intention. And I have actually written it down. We have wallpapers on the laptops. Before we had a massive vision board with the image of the place. We came here multiple times. And it's just okay, I'm going to do exactly what is required, and just brainwash myself. And all of these things slowly started to appear. And then I realized that you're aiming too low. And that's a big shocker, because the income goals and the cars and everything, and I'm not talking about material things, but things that at the time they seem so impossible. It's how are we going to afford this, man? I mean, it's impossible. It's not happening. How are we going to move there? And we actually moved to this place where I live right now. We just closed a year now. We moved right there when the pandemic kicked off, and we just arrived before they closed the streets and everything. So it was just a close call, but it's just oh my God, it's been a dream in the making for so many years, and now you're telling me that there's a pandemic and we can't even move. But we managed, and we're here now. And like you said, it has changed my life too, to just be conscious of what am I thinking, what are my goals, and where am I going, and what's important to me. And yes, be at the service of others with both music and education or communication or whatever it is, whatever way I can, to just stay in that frequency. Because, it's very important to stay there. It's very easy to deviate from that, It's very easy to be negative, but it's a practice. And I really, really encourage anybody. I got a few people that follow me that have asked me this, and like, okay, so what book are you reading, or what do you watch? And I said, like, okay, you're opening a Pandora's box. Okay, this is where my wife says to me as well, do not talk about this when we're in a group of people.
Yeah.
Because I just go off.
Yeah.
But I send them the links. I said, like, okay, go and watch this. This is the book.
Yeah.
This is the audiobook as well, version that I have it, and I just, I do what the media is doing right now with everybody anyways, or it has always been, which is just brainwash you with the same content.
Yeah.
Turn on the news, it's the same content. So it's exactly the same MO, but on reverse. And say like, okay, I'm successful. I am powerful to do whatever the hell I want to do. The same are my kids. But at the same time, this word success or being successful is not something that I heard in my household.
Yeah.
Okay. Like it's not something that I will be, who on earth uses the word successful in a sentence? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So these words for me are really important as well, and try to identify that, like, okay, and what does success means to you as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
so I think it's very important.
I met up with a good friend, a few days back, and we met up with her, and we had entered her in a radio competition to win like a big prize. So we entered a couple of friends and family and stuff for this big draw. And so we said, we've entered you in the draw. And one of the first things was, oh, well, thanks, but I'm not going to win it. And you start to identify very quickly that it goes on all of the time. Negativity is just firing off. It comes out of people conversationally. When you really start to, I don't know if you have heard of David Goggins. He's he's a pro runner, endurance athlete. And he said he records himself and then plays his voice back. So it's an internal monologue. So whatever's going on in his head for an hour, he'll verbalize and vocalize and record it. And he said, if you do that for an hour, it's frightening. Like what's going on in here all the time, just constantly. And if you even just start to address that a bit, it's quite astounding what a difference you can make to what you can be capable of, athletically or in your career or relationships. It's like you say, it's a Pandora's box. Okay, I'm going to pull it back to say I want to get started in stock music right now today. What do I need? What do I need to get started, Dan?
Well, depends on what level you are at the moment. If it's somebody that knows how to record music already or have an idea of a music production, you probably have already done some demos and have recorded some ideas and know how your way around a recording software. So if that's you, I will definitely just open an account immediately on Pond 5 or even Audio Jungle. There's many more anyways. But I will start with those two libraries. Just open an account. That will be the first step, and then upload. On Pond 5, I think you can upload as many as you want in the beginning. I'm not sure what's the policy now to be approved there. But once you open your account and you submit your first tracks and you go through the whole process of review, then it's just, you can just upload.
And it's that quick, isn't it? It really is.
Yes.
Get something together and you can get it online and in an online shop today.
Yeah. Well, it's a marketplace. And I think that's a beautiful thing. It's not just like a music library. It's a marketplace where they sell stock photos, stock videos. So we're just part of that big marketplace in the audio section, in the music side of it. So I would just open an account immediately. There's usually an ID verification where you just have to submit your passport or whatever. But it's very, very simple. You set up your PayPal account, and that's very important because you need to set that up in order for you to get paid. And it's all done really, really fast, And the best part of it is that you can start today, upload your music, and get familiarized with the library, how the upload process is. It's usually very straightforward. With Audio Jungle, it's a little bit difficult. It's a little bit more, it's become harder throughout the years. But with a library like Pond 5, you can definitely get started immediately and then get your foot in the door, get your hands dirty, maybe experience a few rejections, see how you cope with that. Focus on the music that you like. So if you like to make hip hop beats or whatever. If you come from a rock background, then do rock and really compose, 5 to 10 tracks of those and then start uploading them. And off you go,
Yeah, that's really good advice. I mean, that's what I found with stock music. I mean, the nice thing that I found is you'll go through a period of an explosive few months where you're just trying stuff out and you just get better. Your increment of improvement is fast, much like doing YouTube or something. But what's great is you get quite quick feedback in terms of a sale. So as soon as you get your first sale, you can go, now that worked, so I'm going to do some more of that. And that's something which is very hard to sort of straw poll if you're used to songwriting or working with a band, working out what's going to be successful and how far do you want to go down that line with the music that you're writing. With stock music, you can go, all right, hit on the nail with that. We'll see if we can sell some more of that.
Yes, in the beginning, it's very important to have that very first sale. You know, I do a lot of coaching and students as well that they're still looking for that first sale, and when it happens, it's just a validation that if I can do it once, you know, and because it's very discouraging. You don't know what you're doing at some times. You might be recording the music that you like, but at the same time, it might not be the right music track. And for me, it took me the longest time to get my first sale. It took me a whole year. And it was quite a long period of time. So I share that story so people don't get discouraged, by the way, just so they can see, like, okay, if I can do it long term, nobody has to wait for a whole year to get sales. Actually, everybody that I have coached or come into the stock music licensing world have done it really, really fast. Because this is what they need to do. And I try to put them in the right position for them to succeed and say, like, if you compose music like this, you're going to get sales immediately. And I'm coaching somebody right now as we speak. And I just got the email last night, like, okay, I got my first sale. And it's not about the money at this point, because it's just one sale. But the guy has been on Pawn 5 for the longest time. Right. You know, and he just can't, it's like, what's happening? You know, this doesn't work. Of course it doesn't work because the music is wrong. You need to do this like this, and you need some kind of direction. But still, there's a lot of internal work because it's not just about choose this chord and this melody. It's like changing the whole way they think about music and composition. And again, you're targeting egos and say, listen, you need to compose this like this, man. You know, and remember, it's not about you. It's about the client, the customer. And I'm really happy that, you know, see this process of somebody getting sales because their success is my success. You see? And I better provide something for them to show them that there is a way. You know? And I always tell them, you're doing much better than I did when I started out. You know, you already got started and, you know, you're in a few months, you have sales already. I'm more than happy to help you to accelerate that process.
It was thanks to you and your channel that I had a sale a few weeks back for a 7-second sting of "Oh Christmas Tree," which was like, you know, like in the end of March, completely random. I mean, that's you know, but it was, you know, thanks to your channel and just learning about all these different edits and stuff, which, you know, were things which I wouldn't have necessarily thought of at the start. So it's can be quite a random whole business, but you've got to have the stuff up there to sell, haven't you? You know, and it can be something that, ironically, I probably would have spent X amount of hours through that week composing stuff, and it was probably something that maybe took me 15 minutes tops.
That's it.
That ends up being a nice sale for you. But that's, you know, that's it, and you know, it makes you smile. What's your favorite bit of hardware in your home studio, Daniel?
My hardware, I have this 11 rack. Okay, it's an old 11 rack that used to be from Avid, from Pro Tools. I used to be a Pro Tools guy. And it's my interface, and it's my sounds for my guitar. And it's like, you know, it's what I use for everything. And you know, I'm a guitarist, so the fact that I can just plug the guitar in and it has all this amp simulation and effects and stuff is it's really nice. It was a good investment. I know that nowadays there are so many others. Very, you know, endless choices really I've seen online. But I have this one now for more than 10 years, and
you know it.
Yeah, it's nice. I try to keep it simple as well. I mean, it has more sounds than what you need, like anything, you know.
I did a video a couple of weeks ago about the rule of KISS and keep it simple, stupid. And the more I find that my space has become a workspace, the more workflow has become, and speeding up workflow, probably more important than anything. If I get something that sounds good, it's like, right, okay, great. As long as that's easy, good. I don't want something with 50 knobs on it. I don't want the choice. I just, my EQing has got more and more simple. The more you kind of bang, 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 because I need to get this done today and signed off because tomorrow I've got something else. And,
exactly.
So I can totally see how that could be a really, really handy bit of gear. And how about plugins? Is there one plugin that's floating your boat at the moment that springs to mind?
No, I don't actually. I'm using a lot of. I did a conversion from Pro Tools to Logic.
Right.
So I'm using a lot of Logic native plugins like EQ and compressors.
Yeah.
In the past, I used to use Wave plugins a lot with Pro Tools, but I don't have a particular plugin that I love per se. I mean, when it comes down to VSTs and sounds like that, I like Spitfire's audio. Stuff like the labs, the free stuff, the affordable stuff, the original stuff, the entry level. Okay? But I do believe in working with what you have, and I do teach a lot to use the free stuff and whatever comes with your DAW. And I try to work with limitations and try to like really say like, hey, yeah, it's fine. You can go and spend £1,000 on this plugins, industry standards. But don't use that as an excuse for not getting started, or for that reason you're not making any money. Yeah. So I go back down to that angle and always try to say, hey, you can do it with free plugins. But I don't have one per se that say like I cannot live without this. I'm just try to separate myself from that.
I always liked on Graham Cochrane's channel. I remember saying on Recording Revolution years ago, he always said the most important thing is to imagine, God forbid, that say your studio burnt down, that tomorrow you can carry on working. And exactly. I think that's good advice, right?
Yes, for sure. And I'm a big fan of Graham as well. Of course, I've been following him for years.
Yeah, great channel. I've learned so much from that. God bless YouTube.
yes. It's been fantastic.
Daniel, where can people find you? Where can people find your YouTube? We'll have all the links below this, of course. But online, where can people find you and find out more?
You can go to stockmusiclicensing.com, and you will find all the links there for the podcast, for my YouTube, and all the information is there, stockmusiclicensing.com.
And you've got some courses, you've got some free courses, some paid courses. You've got a lot to learn from there, right?
Yes, I have free resources. I have the Academy as well. I have the latest addition to the Stock Music Licensing brand is the Mastermind Group, an SML Mastermind Group, which stands for Stock Music Licensing Mastermind. And it's a private community that just launched in February. And we have composers from all over the world. And it's a private community. And really what it is that we share different music tracks. We get from a lot of encouragement, support, feedback. We do monthly workshops, monthly lives as well, and we interact with each other. And it's a safe place that I wanted to create for those who want to be part of a private community that is not a Facebook group. It's not something that is open to the public, so they can feel protected and encouraged and really respectful. And it's not just like, okay, if you're serious, this is where I hang out, and this is where I go deeper into interacting with fellow composers beyond a YouTube video and beyond a course or beyond anything else. So yeah, it's just been one thing after the other. When it comes down to creating not only music but as well the educational side of it, business and the branding of Stock Music Licensing. So. I feel so blessed. I mean, the people inside the community it has blown my mind away to have this type of communications like that. And people that buy my courses as well. I met people from all over the world, from all walks of life. It's just unreal. So, but everything, all the links are there, stockmusiclicensing.com, and you can find and learn more about everything there.
That's awesome. I'll make sure all the links are below in this video as well, so people can go and check it out. It's been wonderful talking to you today. I could go on and on and on. But
It's been a pleasure.
yeah, been absolutely fantastic. And, I hope that the people who've watched this have got something out of it. And I'm sure there'll be one or two people that are going to be checking you out. And hopefully one or two people that'll go on and maybe even change their lives, getting into stock music. It'd be awesome.
That's cool. Listen, it's been a pleasure, man, to do this interview. The interview that almost didn't happen, actually.
Yeah.
So
Stick on the line for a moment, but we'll wrap this one up here. Thanks ever so much for joining us.
okay, thank you very much.
Cheers, Daniel. Take care.